Welcome to Chef Henry Kitchen. Today I am showing you how to make authentic Jamaican beef red pea soup. Recipe loaded with tender beef. I'm gonna add salted beef and also beef soup bone. The right and proper way. Just like how we make it in Jamaica. And if outside is cold and it's rainy, this is the best soup for you on a Saturday. Open your cupboard and your fridge, grab your ingredients, and let's make this recipe. I already pre-boiled the salt beef and I turned on the salt. You don't want it to be salty. Don't take it out of the bucket and just wash it off and then put it into the pot. That soup would be so salty. And people will be like, remember me try that soup there on the sun? Salty, my pressure gone up. You don't want to hear that. This is 3 pounds of beef soup bone. And also 2 pounds of beef, the red peas. I soaked the red peas in 2 cups of water and I added 5 cloves of garlic and yellow yam and white yam, the pumpkin and the carrots. I only ask for one thing. Hit the subscribe button and also get your mom and dad to subscribe. And I'm going to be showing you how to use the pressure pot because I have to get the peas pressure and also soup bone. I am going to add the peas into the pressure pot and I'm using 2.5 cups of peas. And that is enough water to bring the peas to a boil. Let's go over the safety of using a pressure pot. This is a lid. Never you attempt to open the pressure pot when it is closed with the weight on and you hear it. Never attempt to even remove the weight. Unless it's settled, that's when you want to remove the weight. Because I was moving the pressure pot and I never remember that the weight come off it, all the liquid just starts spraying up and it's like, oh, I'm in it. So I don't want it to happen to use. That's a safety. I'm going to put this on the stove to boil. I am going to start cutting up the beef. I like to put down some paper towel underneath the cutting board. You want to remove all the fat from the beef because you don't want your soup to be oily. You want to cut these in chunks. So you hold it like this, set it down, and then go down in the middle like this, and then go across. Add it back into this bowl that it came out of. You don't want somebody to come over and be like, I get soup and I don't get any beef. Now that the beef is finished cut up, and you want the beef to look just like this. Now I'm gonna wash the beef. I'm just gonna add just a small amount of vinegar, 1/2 cup of vinegar. Now I'm gonna wash this off, run it under room temperature water, and you just wanna rinse it off 3 to 4 times. And while I was over there washing this, I also wash the beef soup bone. Now I'm gonna check on the peas, and the peas is boiling, and I'm gonna add some water, and this is 3 cups of water. So I'm gonna sink the peas. The peas are floating, and as I pour the water, the peas gonna sink to the bottom of the pot. And this is what, when you hear the term sinking the peas, this is what we're talking about. Now I finish sinking the peas. I'm gonna add a can of coconut milk. When I'm making red pea soup, I always cook with coconut milk. So I'm gonna open my can. I find a better grip using it this way. I never try to take off that part, I just lift it up. Now I'm gonna add the coconut milk. I like to pour it out into a container first. I'm gonna pour the coconut milk into my measuring cup. You open a can, anything could go wrong and then you're gonna spoil up your nice pot of peas that you have cooking. So you just open it, pour it into something and then mix it around. Then I'm gonna add it into the pressure pot with the peas. So now I finish adding the coconut milk into the pot. I'm gonna add my green onion / scallion. And I'm just gonna cut it. Now I'm gonna add the beef soup bone into the pot. And I'm gonna drop them in one by one. All of that can fit? Yeah, it can fit. I'm gonna add the salted beef. You want that to go inside here, and that's gonna give it enough salt because I turn on the salt a bit. but still there is a little more salt inside here, and that's gonna pressure inside here as well. Time to cover the pressure pot. I'm gonna put the weight on. So I'm gonna let this pressure. So set your timer for 35 minutes. While we are waiting, I am gonna start mixing the flour. And you cannot make any soup without dumpling. I am using 2.5 cups of flour and half a cup of cornmeal. I like to add cornmeal when I'm making dumpling in red pea soup. And also, I'm gonna add a teaspoon of salt. So I'm gonna mix and combine the salt with the cornmeal and spread evenly throughout the flour. Now I'm gonna start adding water. Concept of mixing flour, you wanna mix and add water as you go. Now I finish kneading the dough. Time to cover the dough. And we're gonna let the dough rest because the dough is now tired. When this pressure cooker is finished pressuring, the soup is halfway there. It's just to add like the food and all the rest of the ingredients. If you're new and you're not yet subscribed, hit the subscribe button and get your mom and your dad. Just call your granddad right now and just be like, hey, he's making soup. Subscribe. I'm gonna start peeling the yam and potatoes. I have water in this bowl. And this is white yam. And you notice, I have like these spots. These are caused from where the yam sit, roll over. You get all of those bruises. People might be like, oh, you're wasting the yam. No, you get it rid of those parts. You don't want them on there. And this is yellow yam. Rest them in the water. We like to go like deep into the skin to remove all the divot. Just remove everything all at once. Now it's done. I'm gonna discard the skins. Now I'm gonna cut up everything. I have the pumpkin already peeled and I also peel the carrots. So I'm gonna add them in the same container because I'm still gonna wash them off again. The pumpkin. You're gonna only know that you put pumpkin in this pot because all of these gonna just melt away. Now that is done, same thing. So the yam, I always start with these one first. I mean, there's a special way. So you go down. Now I finish cutting up the yam, the potato, the carrot, and the pumpkin. So everything is prepped. Press the bowl in the sink to let them stay in the water. Then I will wash them when I'm adding them in the pot. The peas is finished pressuring. I'm gonna shut my stove off. So all I'm gonna do is take it up, move it to the sink, and just turn on the tap and just run it under cold water. Pressure cooker is finished cool down. And you can just tell when it's pressuring, this valve right here, it came up and sticking out. So that means it cannot open. When I release the weight, there is no air coming out of the pressure cooker because I run it under cold water. So now it's safe to open. Now you have learned how to use a pressure cooker. Now I'm gonna check on the peas. I'm just trying the peas. Oh yeah, the peas is cooked all the way through I have my pot on the stove and I added 2.5 cups of water into the pot, and I'm gonna turn my stove on. I'm gonna put it at the highest settings. I am going to add the cut up beef into the pot to let it pre-cook. I am going to add some of the liquid from the pressure pot. I am going to cover, let it come to a boil. Now the pot is boiling. I'm going to open. I'm going to stir the pot. I'm going to start adding the dumpling. What's in the pressure cooker is already cooked. You don't want to add those at this time. So I'm going to add the yam and the potatoes and the pumpkin with the carrot. I already washed them and I have them soaking in water. I am going to transfer everything from the pressure pot into this pot. This pot cannot hold all of this. I have to transfer it to a bigger pot. So I'm gonna get the rest of peas into the pot. I'm gonna start adding the dumpling. I put gloves on and I wash even my gloves. If you notice, there's water all over it. And I'm gonna start making the dumpling. And this flour is well rested. I'm gonna take a piece off and we're just gonna go small dumplings. It's pretty simple. I know how to make dumplings. Small, just like that. You don't want it any bigger. So we're gonna add a few of these. Now we're gonna change the dumpling. Now we're gonna do some spinners. Easy to shape, and let's chop them in. And this is the easier way. So just roll it, stretch it. You can just break it off, roll it again, and then chop it in the pot. And this is the last one. Now I'm gonna stir the pot. And I'll tell you about the pumpkin. You're not gonna even know that the pumpkin is there because it's all gonna mix in and blend in well. Now I'm gonna add 4 cups of boiling water into the pot. Now the pot is boiling. Time to add all the seasoning into the pot for the final stage of cooking. We don't want nothing to stick to the bottom of the pot, so I'm gonna give it a good stir. Then I'm gonna add 1 tablespoon all-purpose seasoning and a bouillon cube, 1 tablespoon of thyme leaf, and also a tablespoon of pimento berry. We're just gonna stir that in. Now for the powder soup mix, I am adding a pumpkin beef dry soup mix inside the pot. And when you add this to the pot, you want to sprinkle it all over just like this. So you don't get it just stick into one place. You want to get it all over the soup. For more taste, I am going to add a pack soup mix into the soup. And we're going to do the same thing. Now I'm going to mix it in. This is how the soup gonna achieve that delicious flavor. I am gonna place the cover on and I'm gonna let it simmer for 5 minutes before I do a taste. Been 5 minutes and I'm gonna do a taste. I always use 2 spoons, taste the pot. Everything is seasoned good. I'm gonna place the cover on and I'm gonna drop the temperature. Just gonna keep it at medium. And this time we're gonna let it go for another 10 minutes and then the soup will be ready. And this is how you make Jamaican beef red pea soup. Now I'm gonna check on the soup and I'm gonna give it the final stir. And also I'm gonna shut the stove off. And the soup is finished cooking. I'm gonna make a bowl and I will see you all for the taste test. I have the soup into a bowl. I'm going in for a taste. And in Jamaica, soup on a Saturday, soup on a Wednesday, and if you're in the weather where it's like cold, rainy, it's a soup day. I'm gonna try some of the soup. Lots of meat inside here. Like this is the salt beef. You cannot make beef red pea soup without salt beef and regular beef and also soup board. Dumpling and also nice spinach inside here. Alright, this soup is loaded and I'm happy to share another one. And also guys, I have a trend that's going on. Just comment where you're watching from and I don't want to eat in front of you guys. So you go and make this recipe. From my kitchen to yours, just a screen away. I'm gonna take my soup and I'm gonna go enjoy this delicious bowl of soup. See you on the next one.